Good afternoon and welcome back to At Home with the Holroyds. This week we got up to a few things. We sort of tidied out the chicken coop so that we could get all the chickens back in there and we can start prioritizing our gardens again. We have a nice little space outside our back door that I really sort of want to make pretty, but we also are getting the vegetable gardens back up and running. Hopefully we'll plant a few fruit trees, but yeah, we need the chickens away so that they don't eat everything we plant. Let's quickly jump over and have a look at what went on in the chicken coop this week. So here I am hanging up a shade cloth that separates the two sides of the chicken coop. It does have like chicken wire between it, but it's just all sort of pulled apart and not quite secure. Ideally we would have replaced that wire, but I really just wanted to get this sorted so that we could get the chickens in here. This old shade cloth was just floating around the backyard, so I thought that we would just screw this in. In hindsight, I probably should have done it like the other way around, and I probably could have put that excess along the roof just to offer a bit more shade in the coop, but I ended up just putting it through and sort of doubling up on the cloth. It did mean that like all the broken wiring that's secured between the two sides of that cloth, so it probably wasn't a terrible option. Anyway, I am keeping an eye on the time because it's getting very close to school pickup time and cheerleading, and I do have to teach a few classes this afternoon, so I'm really just getting in and trying to get this done. What we're going to do next is bring in a couple of bales of straw and really freshen up the bedding in there for the chickens. And I need to get this chicken coop door off. We've replaced it with a garden fence and it's been that way for quite some time, and this old door has just been stuck there. So I made it my mission to get it off today because it's really just in the way. It makes it really, really hard to move things in and out. Now I know this chicken coop isn't very aesthetic, and over here we promise to be less curated but more chaotic. This setup works perfectly fine. The chickens and ducks are free range most of the time, and obviously we're going to be pulling back on that a bit so that we can get our gardens established. But sometimes I think the fancy, beautiful chicken coops that you see on social media are just a little bit out of reach and not very practical, and something like this works perfect on our homestead. And now we are filling up the pools with some fresh water. Another reason I'd love to keep the chickens and ducks separated is because any pool of water that is laying around, the ducks go swimming in, and that means it gets really dirty and really messy really quickly. But they will have their own little home soon. So for now we're just going to make do and keep refreshing the water. Now in a second you are going to see a little lady that didn't quite make it into the chicken coop. This is Crackhead Chicken. She's a lovely lady. She just looks out of it and acts out of it as well, so she really lives up to her name. This week has been a little crazy. I'm sure you all have heard that there is some beef happening overseas, which is affecting the fuel prices here in Australia and will most likely affect, food supply, the chain of events that happen when we don't have fuel or fuel's too pricey. What we have... No, come back here, please. Snake's over there. Lane. But while a lot of people were out panic buying fuel, we definitely had the discussion of doing the same. But when we sort of sat down and figured out why we needed to stock up on fuel, the obvious reasons were getting the kids everywhere they need to be, and being able to get food and supplies to obviously keep everyone fed and healthy and happy. So what we thought was best to do was to prioritize getting the gardens done, the vegetable gardens, which is something we were going to do anyway, but it kind of gave us a bit of a kick up the bum. So we've been doing some panic planting, and also putting a lot of thought and consideration into the sort of stockpile that we should have at home. We don't really have much of a stockpile at the moment. We're a large family, so it already costs quite a bit to fill our fridges and our freezers and our cupboards. But rather than doing our sort of big shop fortnightly, we might work on doing a big shop weekly for the next little while, and that should sort of slowly top up our supplies, and maybe putting some more focus on non-perishables, just, you know, so they can be sort of put away and they're there in case of emergency. We have had a few, you know, natural disasters over the years now, like flooding and fires kept us either stuck at home or stuck away from home, I guess. But we also had it was also hard to, you know, source things because everyone was out panic buying. We definitely lived off some rations of homemade bread and, you know, cereals and that for a little while there. So yeah, I've definitely been working on keeping some, like, the cupboard stocked and all of our ingredients, so that we are able to make a lot of those things and sort of keep ourselves going if for any reason we can't go to town for a few weeks or whatnot. Yes, so I am going to do a bit of a grocery order, and add a few more canned things and non-perishables, maybe stock up on, you know, shampoos, soap, conditioners, all those things. That we kind of live in a small house, so as much as it's nice to have a stockpile, I also don't have room for that stuff. But it's kind of getting to the point where it's something we just need to figure out. COVID, bushfires, floods, and now this, where we really need to, like, limit the driving around we do because of the price of fuel and all that sort of stuff. So I might work on doing a bit of a grocery shop up, and I might even share that with you guys. Some tips and tricks would be much appreciated. Maybe let us know what you stockpile at home and what's worked for you, what you've maybe stocked and reassessed and thought that probably wasn't necessary. We would be interested to hear it all. Other than that, I think we're going to show you around the vegetable gardens. We've got some seedlings in the ground. Hubby can't do much heavy lifting at the moment, so he was able to head to town, and he was going for seeds, but he ended up coming home with seedlings yesterday, which is great. We got them in the ground, but we probably still need to get some seeds, more for like long storage, so we'll work on that. And yeah, then we topped up, he came home with some more seedlings today so that we can really just get like a whole heap of things in the ground. Hopefully we keep getting a little bit of rain. Our biggest concern when it comes to the vegetable garden here is just rain. We're on tank water, and you know, it's just it's been hard to come by the last 12 months or so. So fingers crossed for that heading into the cooler months. But like it's really forced us to have some conversations and figure out, you know, how we could protect ourselves, I guess, if the worst should happen. Not protecting ourselves physically, got that under control. But yeah, just being, you know, that emphasis on self-sufficient, but being a little bit more realistic about it. I think as homesteaders, you're like, oh yeah, we've got eggs, we've got chickens, we can grow some vegetables, we've got fruit trees, we're growing our own meat. But at the end of the day, those things all cost you time, energy, money. Like, if we were cut off from the world for months and months, I don't think we could process animals if we had no access to fuel, or, you know, energy. If we couldn't have people come out and help us process it because no one had fuel in their car, or, you know, feed for the chickens to make sure they're getting what they need to keep producing us eggs. So really getting back to basics a bit and stockpiling good old tinned veggies and, you know, the rice, the oats, all the things. And yeah, going from there, I guess. And here we are out in our little vegetable garden. Over the summer, we did utilize this veggie garden, but we used like the no-till method. So we just kind of piled up soil and compost and planted seeds directly into that. Everything actually grew quite well. What we struggled with were the really hot days and keeping water up to the garden. We are reliant on rainwater, so we are careful about our water usage, and in those hot days we just really couldn't keep up. Gardening, or helping with the gardening, is something these two kids really like to help with. Our 12-year-old boy also quite enjoys it, and the teenage girls not so much, but it is like it's fun having these kids out in the garden with us. Winnie was really excited to show you guys all our seedlings. I think we ended up with lettuce, spring onions, silver beet, some broccoli, some cauliflower, and some beetroot, and also some tomatoes. We have so many like voluntary tomato vines growing, so that probably wasn't really necessary, but you can never have too many tomatoes, right? Something I would really like to bring to light on this channel is trying to homestead with a large family. So we do have 5 kids, ranging from 1.5-year-old up to an almost 17-year-old. And when we first moved out here to our property, it was like 10 years ago now, so the kids are a lot younger. They were really excited. They wanted to be outside, they wanted to ride bikes, they wanted to go exploring. And now that they are older, they definitely don't appreciate it so much. I guess it's really hard, especially when you're a teenager. We still do all the extracurricular activities. We are always taking them to town, to their friends' places, or they've got friends over. So we definitely, like, I feel like we're just catering to a lot of like different, well, we are catering to different aged kids, but with each age they just enjoy doing very different things. So living this lifestyle, I guess, for myself personally is really tricky, because I spend the majority of my time running the kids around. I'm taking care of, you know, the home, the inside, outside. My husband does work away. So yeah, it is a lot, but I definitely think it's worth it. And I really, really hope that, you know, one day the kids see. But back to our gardening. Madden and I are filling up another couple of garden beds. We have some broccoli, some cauliflower, and some beetroot seedlings that really need to be planted today. By the time we got to this last couple of garden beds, I was struggling. We had a big weekend of sports. It hurt to bend down, but it hurt to squat, and I was really just rushing through and trying to get this done. I am planting these guys way too close together, but I'm not expecting every single seedling to grow successfully. And if they happen to, we will just replant them. We did grow some last year. Brock kind of just chaos planted last year and chucked a whole heap of random seeds in the chicken coop, but at that point it had been used to house the pigs for a while, so I guess there was some really good sort of nutrients in the ground, and everything just took off. And then when we went to put the chickens back in there eventually, we actually replanted like the brassicas, and replanting them worked really well. So hopefully we have success with these. We are by no means experts, but we were definitely motivated by the things happening in the world this week to do some panic planting. I would encourage you to just start somewhere. And we can definitely figure this out together as we go. I have a little check of the seedlings that we planted yesterday. We did come out here this morning and chuck some netting over them to give them a bit of shade. It's a really hot day today. It's a bit gross. I mean, they're hanging in there. We'll give them another water a little bit later on. How are these guys going? Yeah, it's a bit hot. These ones are looking pretty good. Need to get these other garden beds filled up. It's just going to take a lot of time and effort. Yeah, the hard part at the moment is I'm the only sort of able body at home. Volley, come on. Come here, Lane. Don't go down there. Volley, come on. Yeah, I'm sort of the only one that can do any sort of lifting or shoveling and bending down, planting and things like that. So it's a bit tricky, you know? It's a bit tricky. Hey, Kev. Hey, Kevy. Hey, Kevy. What you doing? Mama. Baby's naked, so I'm trying to keep him out of the shot. Oh, do you want to give that to Kevin? Did I give him to see? Give. Look, Kevin. Look what you got. Okay. Oh, good boy. Chicken's coming for it. Look, Kev. Good girl. Ooh. Everyone, please you guys need to make them famous so they get a lot of money so they can buy me a motorbike, and they can also put data on my phone because I don't like to put data on my phone, so I'd love if they would do that. That would be a good one. Going away. I did not like cows. I just want to be not here.